As promised, the Trump administration has begun immigration enforcement in major U.S. cities. Chicago, one of them. I'm Marianne Ahern. This is The Brief. Top officials, including Border Czar Tom Homan and the acting Deputy Attorney General, are witnessing these ramped-up enforcements in Chicago over the weekend. Few details have been made public. However, sources tell us the enforcement has been taking place both in the city of Chicago as well as the suburbs. NBC News has been told there are about 10 separate teams from 10 separate agencies that include the FBI, DEA, and ATF. ICE said it made more than 1,200 arrests nationwide over the weekend. Let's compare that to the last time statistics were released in September. Then approximately 300 arrests took place on a daily basis. Other states impacted besides Illinois this past weekend: Arizona, California, Colorado, Georgia, Nebraska, and Texas. In Colorado this past weekend, nearly 50 arrests. In Texas, more than 80. In Chicago, there are strong sanctuary protections. That means Chicago police are not allowed by law to cooperate with the federal agents. In fact, Governor Pritzker has said there will be strong repercussions if they do so. However, acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove said, quote, "We will not rest until the work is done." So who are they arresting? In Denver, the DEA has said their operation focused on drug traffickers. In Chicago, however, Border Czar Homan has said those arrested over the weekend include those who had faced sex offenses, murder charges, and were gang members. Homan spoke with NBC News correspondent Gabe Gutierrez on Sunday.
What's great about this operation is all the government approach. It's just not ICE. We had DEA, FBI, ATF, U.S. Marshal Service, DOJ's all in. So there's a lot of targets, a lot of teams out there looking. I can tell you, last time I looked at the board, I think we got 6 people with serious sex offenders. We got at least 2 or 3 TDA members, gang members, 2 illegal aliens that were convicted of murder, homicide, and aggravated sexual battery, aggravated assault. So some bad guys, and which goes to what President Trump's been saying from day one. We're going to concentrate on public safety threats first, and that's what we're doing here today.
There may have been others detained who do not face current criminal charges. We spoke with Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul.
I'm very concerned with regards to a wide net being set, and that perhaps some even racial profiling may take place as a result. I don't have a problem, again, with targeted operations towards those who have committed crimes. If there is any indication that the rights of any Illinois resident is being violated, and it's something that we might have standing on, in such cases, we would intervene.
One of President Trump's new executive orders calls for criminal organizations to be labeled as, quote, foreign terrorist organizations. Locally, reaction from state and city leaders about these operations depend on which party you belong to and where you stand on immigration reform. Governor J.B. Pritzker disagrees with what he calls an aggressive approach. He says, quote, "We need to get rid of the criminals." At the same time, he also adds, "We need to protect people."
Well, let me start by being clear that when we're talking about violent criminals who've been convicted and who are undocumented, we don't want them in our state. We want them out of the country. We hope they do get deported. And if that's who they're picking up, we're all for it. They show up with a warrant, and we're going to hand over people who are in our prisons or in our jails who fit that description. Now, what they're also doing, though, and it's quite disturbing, is they're going after people who are law-abiding, who are holding down jobs, who have families here, who may have been here for a decade or 2 decades, and they're often our neighbors and our friends. And why are we going after them? These are not people who are causing problems in our country, and what we need is a path to citizenship for them. We need to secure our border. We need to get rid of the violent criminals.
I asked Pritzker about this just last week. According to Pritzker, state law says absolutely local law enforcement should not assist federal agents, and he says they will be prosecuted. What about those police agencies that might help ICE? Would they face some kind of violation of state law?
Yeah, they better not break the law. These are law enforcement officers. They shouldn't break the law. We will go after them. The Attorney General will. We have the ability to make sure that those people are punished if they're breaking the law. The law enforcement officers, we don't expect them to. We think they're going to follow the law. Even the sheriff said he's going to follow the law, but he's upset because he feels like his hands are tied. Here's what I want. I want criminals off the streets. I want law enforcement officers to do their job and make sure that they arrest people that are committing crimes.
Trying to stop the deportations, immigrant rights groups, they have filed an injunction at the court level, and they're waiting for a response to see if perhaps they can stop it. Besides the federal officials in Chicago witnessing the operations, so is TV host Dr. Phil. He's been embedded with the group and is posting videos on his own streaming channel to show what has been going on.
This truly is a targeted ICE mission because they're not sweeping neighborhoods like people are trying to imply. I know that because I've been involved in this heading into this. They've identified 270 high-value targets. And what I mean by that is these are known criminals and terrorists.
Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson on social media says, quote, "Chicago police were not involved and my team and I are working closely with city officials." He also added, quote, "It's important that everyone know their rights." Illinois' two Democratic senators, Dick Durbin and Tammy Duckworth, they released a joint statement. In it, they say, quote, "We can all agree that we must remove any dangerous individuals from our country who are here illegally. But the mass deportation actions being undertaken by President Trump's administration go far beyond those important goals." Those who support the deportation action include Chicago Alderman Ray Lopez, who says he wishes there was a functional front door at the border.
It's not just undocumented. We have individuals who have temporary protective status either because they manipulated asylum to gain entry who are also committing dangerous crimes that this administration is going after. And what I saw was that there were roughly 900 individuals arrested yesterday, of which roughly 600 I think were their primary target, and unfortunately 300 were taken as collateral across this country. That tells me that there's a lot of work that we need to do here in the city of Chicago to help narrow their scope so that we are not losing those that are not on the target list.
Now for some context. What about previous presidents? Here are the numbers according to the Migration Policy Institute. 12 million people were deported during the Clinton administration, 10 million people during George W. Bush's administration, and 5 million people during the Obama years. We will be updating as we receive more details. This is The Brief. Thanks for checking in.